Welcome everyone to another week of It's Cheaper Than Therapy podcast. I am your host, Roland Kirsten, aka Ro Nice, sitting in with you guys another week to talk a little bit about what's going on. Um, this week is gonna be a little bit short. Not too much going on. I do want to start off with saying congratulations to the University of South Carolina women's basketball team on winning their third national championship and completing a perfect season, being the 10th team in history to complete a perfect season at 38 and 0. I was watching that game. I just cut it off a few minutes ago. Congratulations to them, Dawn Staley, the state of South Carolina. Columbia probably gonna be a party when they get back. See how things go in the metro where I'm at. Um, with that subject, I want to talk a little bit about our watching what's going on for the last 2 years with the girl from Iowa, Caitlin Clark. I noticed the media coverage that she's been getting has been, very highly inflated and very centered around her, even though, you know, she may have not won the national championship. I'm not saying she's not a great player, but I've been watching the news coverage over the last few years, and I see how they portray her, and I saw one commercial where they said we're witnessing greatness. Now I'm not saying she's not a good player, but greatness, I don't know. Like, she hasn't necessarily won any national championships. That she's done a lot for the sport of women college basketball, but I was listening to the commentator after the game just now, and they spent more time focusing on her than necessarily South Carolina team. I've seen several commercials talking about Caitlin Clark. We're witnessing greatness. Like, she's the best thing to women's college basketball since sliced bread. And, you know, she's been to back-to-back national championship games and has taken L's in both games. And yet she's still portrayed as the best women's college basketball player, which I myself disagree with. Not necessarily hating on her and saying she doesn't have a good game and she's not good at all. It's just I don't think she as excuse my coughing, I don't know where that's coming from. She is good as they're making her out to be. I really think the focus should have been on South Carolina and what they've accomplished over the last few years, and especially going undefeated. And I watched last year when Caitlin Clark and Iowa put South Carolina out in the Final Four, and she didn't hand the John Cena thing to the South Carolina players, and I listened to the commentators talking about, oh, that's just hard, and she's a hard-nosed player, and and they gave her so much praise for doing that, make it seem like, oh, it's a little taunting. They gotta be tougher than that. They gotta be able to handle that. And when they lost the game, when Caitlin Clark and Iowa lost the game to LSU, and Angel Reese did the same thing, she was labeled as a thug, and she was labeled as, being braggadocious and overconfident and having no class and being very untasteful. So I watched that double standard, that went around Caitlin Clark and African American women players in college basketball, and I don't understand that, and I know it still happens and everything that goes on in this world. But I watched that media coverage around Caitlin Clark, and she was praised so highly. And I watched some of the games, like the game 9, where she clearly pushed off the South Carolina player in front of the ref, and they swallowed the whistle. But against every other team that's not to be funny, predominantly black females on the team, she was the benefit of a lot of questionable whistles last year and as well as this year. And they talking about her like she's done so much for the sport of women's college basketball in the last 2 years, putting it on the mainstream and making it what it is. And I have to disagree with that. And I always knew it was the Tennessee Volunteers head coach. I can't really think her name, Pat Summit. I had to think about UConn with Gino and those teams. Even back then, I watched women's college basketball to a certain extent because of those Tennessee teams were high quality, high winning teams, and those UConn teams, you know, I watched those, and I'm not a big, gigantic women's college basketball fan, but let's just say I watched women's college basketball back then, as lightly as I did for those teams. And now I've watched it more so than ever before because of what Dawn Staley and the University of South Carolina has done, with that school, and me being from South Carolina. Now, granted, I'm not a Gamecocks fan in sports for the most part, but, being from here, that's something to watch. Them girls have won 3 national championships, completed an undefeated season, you know. And one thing I've always known here in the state of South Carolina, um, girls basketball, even in high school, they've produced a lot of talent from this state, and women and girls basketball from high school to college. But I just think it's unfair the amount of praise that Caitlin Clark gets, and not saying she's not a good shooter, not saying she's not a good player. I'm not saying that. It's just the way the media covers her is like almost like she invented the sport to a certain extent, and they give her a lot of passes for things she do, as far as what they call uh God, what's the word I'm looking for? What they call what they call her being just a tenacious basketball player, what they call her having, passion for the game. Now, I can sit there and say the same thing about a lot of the USC girls, LSU girls, and other schools. Even going back, like I said, watching Pat, some in Tennessee, and watching the UConn girls, they had that same passion, they had that same confidence. But it seems like as these teams that are winning the majority of the national championship, not to be funny, are more African American centric, it seems that they don't want to give them as much praise. Dawn Staley has done a lot with the USC women's team, making them into the powerhouse that they are now, where you got girls just watching basketball and saying, hey, I want to go there. I want to play for her. That they have a winning championship. And she, from watching her interview, she talks about a lot about, helping these young women not only with basketball, but from life standpoints. And, I got to give praise to her on that. It's just, I just don't like the way, because I guess how do we say not just because Caitlin Clark is a Caucasian female, she gets a lot of praise on the national media level. And like I said, just after the game just now, it was like she lost, and they followed her all the way to the locker room, and she took that L. for the second time in a row to a team that is predominantly African American females. But, you know, there's clips saying she scored the most points in women's D1, and then there's evidence to refute that, but they give her the title as such. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Like I said, I don't want to take anything from her saying she's not a great player or she doesn't play well or she doesn't have heart and passion and tenacity for the game. But I don't think it's to the level where she's better than any of them girls that have came through South Carolina or any of them girls that have came through UConn or whatever, or even Tennessee, you know. And I was watching, they was talking to Dawn at a press conference in the Final Four before the game today, and they asked an interesting question about whether she thinks that trans women should play in women's college and women's sports. Now, that's kind of a crazy question to ask. If I'm not correct, Dawn Staley is part of the LBGT community. I think that's a crazy question to ask someone at that point. I mean, should men play in women's sports? Is biological men playing women's sports? And she had to answer yes. I'm not 100% sure if she necessarily believes that men should play in women's sports. I don't know what's in her mind, but you could tell her she was caught off guard by the question and it put her on the spot. And she knows that if she said the wrong thing, it can cost her everything. Now, I know this is a touchy subject, all around the world when it comes to trans men and trans women and what they should or should not be allowed to do. So, do I believe trans men should play in women's sports? No. But that doesn't mean I hate them or dislike them. It's just a biological male should never be allowed to compete against women. It's just, it gives too much of an unfair advantage. So, I think questions like that for somebody like Dawn Staley should have never took place, in this type of climate, being who she is and what she represents and everything that's going on, and you could say that about potentially about Caitlin Clark. I mean, but it's not to be hating or being bashful. It's just an interesting dynamic that how they cover certain people in sports. Like I said, Caitlin is great, but the USC girls have been better over the last, I say, 4 to 5 years. They definitely have me watching them, and I don't really watch women's college basketball. It's just not for me, but they have had me tuned in for the last 4 to 5 years, watching them do a lot of things that's with the talent that they had. It's amazing. So I just think that there have been players and teams that done more for women's college basketball than Caitlin Clark has in the last 2 years. But she gets the praise, she gets the commercials, she gets the coverage, and we know why that is. Unfairly as it may be, we know why she got a commercial spot saying that we're witnessing greatness. I'm not 100% sure about watching Caitlin Clark play is quantified as greatness in women's college basketball. I could say watching what Pat and Tennessee did, what Gino and UConn did, and now what Dawn Staley and the University of South Carolina team did, I can classify that as greatness in my opinion and from my perspective. You know, but Caitlin has lost the last two national championships, and she has gotten away with a lot of taunting and things that, you know, most of the black females can't get away with. You know, and I know that's gonna open up a whole can of worms about racism and being a bigot, and you know, I it's something that as a taboo subject, but we have to sit back and watch what's happening. You know, that girl has gotten a lot of press just for being, hate to say it, just for being white. You know, that I think players that are better than her are not getting. But at the end of the day, you know, the game was good. South Carolina got their get back from losing to them last year in the Final Four. And Dawn and her team walked off that court with class. You know, they didn't taunt back, they didn't clap back, or they didn't do anything that would be considered thuggish or distasteful. You know, and that speaks a lot to Dawn Staley and who she is as a person and what she teaches those young women at the University of South Carolina. You know, but you know, to say that Caitlin has changed the game to a level that, you know, we never seen before, I'm not necessarily agreeing with that. I don't want to buy into that narrative, but it seems like that's the narrative that's being pushed because of her skin color. So, you know, like I said, as we as black people have to sit back and watch, you know, the things that we've been dominant in, the sports we've been dominant in, they're trying to find ways to take back that dominance. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with cheering on the sport itself and cheering on players that are great. No doubt, that's nothing wrong with that. But the uneven level of coverage and, you know, praise that she has been getting for doing something that's already been being done. You know, they calling her the Steph Curry of women's college basketball, the greatest women's college basketball player ever. I'm like, that's a bit of a stretch for someone not to be funny, not to pick, that has lost the last two national championship games. And I understand that winning is not always everything, but if you're gonna take those L's, you shouldn't be praised at a higher level than the team that actually won or the players that actually won. You know, that's just, you know, my 2 cents on the game today. You know, like I said, it's been a joy watching the March Madness, even though my on the men's side, my Tar Heels exited early. That hurt. You know, I was expecting us to cut down the net since we had several, you know, players that been there, you know, fit 5-6 years, and we had a couple, you know, 5-6 year seniors. So I was expecting us to do it, you know, this year. But it is what it is. We did not, unfortunately. But you know, that's just something I was watching, and I want you guys to tell me what you think about that. You know, comment below on the video. What do you guys think about the Caitlin Clark situation and how she's being praised, even though I don't think she's the best player in women's college basketball, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who thinks that. But I want to know from my people out there, What do y'all think? Is she the greatest? You know, in women's college basketball. You know what have has what she has and has not done for the game of women college basketball. Is it being bestowed upon her immaturely or prematurely? Pardon my French. Considering there's other players that have done so much more, and the media coverage is gonna always be the media coverage. There's always a bias with the media. We know it. We see it. It's taboo to speak about it. It can get you canceled. It can get you taken down. It can cost you a lot to talk about it, because they consider you being hateful or you're bashing on a particular person, gender, whatever. And that's not. I'm talking from a clearly just sports perspective. Now, unfortunately, we got to piggyback on the media coverage, and yeah, she's white, and yeah, they tend to be more. They tend to give more praise to them than us. Like I said, Angel Reese caught a lot of flack last year for doing the John Cena, but Caitlyn did not. So, is that fair? You know, I just think it's kind of crazy that we see things the way, or the media sees things in a way that's not necessarily true. You know, or we gotta downplay the achievements of African American people to make praise of the achievements of certain Caucasian people. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. I know what happens. It's the world we live in at this juncture. But from watching the last 2 to 3 years of the whole, from Caitlin Clark to LSU to Caitlin Clark to South Carolina, and what has happened this year with South Carolina winning, you if you go back and listen to a lot of media coverage, whether it be national or sports, ESPN, you could see the bias. You could see the unfairness, or the potential where, like, hey, what they saying is not necessarily true, but it paints one person in a positive light and paints other people in a negative light. But that's just my 2 cents. But again, congratulations to the University of South Carolina women's basketball team on their third national championship, going 38-0. To win all your games without losing, that's got to be, that's achievement. I guess only 10 other teams have done that in Division I sports. And when you talking Division I sports, it ain't just men's sports, it's all across all sports to go to undefeated. That's hard. That's hard to win every single game without losing. So congratulations to them. Everyone, I want you to comment below, or you can email me, cheaperthantherapyshow@gmail.com. Send text comments 803-509-3477. Comment below. I want to transition a little bit to, guys, when I do these videos, it's work. It's also at the same time fun. Support. Subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can go live. Everything I'm doing now is recorded, so I'm trying to get to those 1,000 subscribers based off YouTube standards. I got to be at 1,000 subscribers in order to do live broadcasts. And once I decide to do live broadcasts, when I get to that level, the day that I broadcast or the day that I do it is definitely going to change. Right now, I do everything on Sundays. I record and upload, and I know people got things going on. But I want you guys to definitely watch, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. When I send out these links on Facebook, or when I send them by text, however I may send them, just go to my YouTube page, subscribe, click the like button, comment. I mean, we all watch YouTube for podcasts. I know I'm not a celebrity. People may say I ain't got a lot to say, but I'm just giving my positive comment. I know I got over 1,000 friends on Facebook, and I got 2 Facebook accounts. So having 1,000 subscribers should not be hard, people. Come on, help your boy out, so I can go live. So that way, once I go live, those interactions with anybody that's watching will be so much better. It allow me to do things with having better Q&As, questions, answers, feedbacks. It allowed me to do better with having guests, because that's what I'm trying to get to when I get to that status where I can go live. I'm gonna have things going on. I'm gonna have certain people come in that you may want to ask questions to when it comes to real estate, to finances, to everything. But I got to get to that point where I can go live, and I can only get there by the support of my friends, the people that I support as well. And if you need me to support something, just let me know. That's why I ask, for all my small business owners, shoot me your information, so I can put it up on the podcast. So I can give you a shout out. So I can refer to you. I can refer you. People who need your services, regardless of what it is, whether you make clothes or t-shirts, and soon eventually I'm gonna need somebody. I'm gonna need some t-shirts made. I'm gonna need some hats made. I'm gonna need some stuff made. So let's reciprocate and do business together. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything to go to my YouTube page and subscribe. I know everybody would like for me to go live on Facebook. Going live on Facebook is cool, but YouTube is a great platform. It allows me to do a lot. So going live on Facebook is always hard. That's and Facebook do have a lot of rules, and I try to keep that a little bit separate. So guys, definitely comment on this video. Tell me what y'all think about Caitlin Clark. Tell me what y'all think about USC women's basketball on their 3rd national championship. Do you feel like the praise Caitlin Clark gets over everybody else is warranted, is worth it? Guys, again, go to my YouTube page. When I post this link, it's Cheaper Than Therapy Show on YouTube. I'm also posting my content on Rumble. Rumble does have a little bit less restriction than YouTube. So once I start going live and as I grow this thing, it's going to get more interactive and more fun. But I just need, my people to support. It doesn't cost you anything. Again, I'm going to say it again. I say it 3 times. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything. It does not cost you a dime. Go to my page, click subscribe, click the like button. It gets my videos up there. Share, comment. Maybe my words will help somebody. Maybe it'll spark an idea. Again, I want you guys to think about, go back and watch my previous video. This is my 14th episode. So I've been at it, roughly about 3 months now. 3 months of doing a podcast, something I always dreamed about, something I thought I wouldn't be able to do, or I wasn't ready for to put myself out there. But I'm going along. Each week it gets better and better. My co-host should be back soon. He got his own things going on with family and life and business and work. So, like I said, whenever I can go live, I'm going to change the date that I go live so that way people can watch. But, now I got it where you can watch at any time. You can subscribe. You can listen to this in your car. You can listen to this while you do something. You might not like my voice. You might not like what I got to say. But I ain't saying nothing but positive stuff and things that jar your thought process and think. But this video, it just was talking a little bit about sports and how the media portrays us as athletes and how they portray Caucasian athletes versus African American athletes, both male and female, because it does happen on both sides of the spectrum. But guys, once again, I want to thank you again for the ones that have subscribed and watched my videos. Continue supporting me. Share with your family, share with your friends, have them tell them to subscribe. Um, but this video's a little bit short tonight. But again, I want to thank you guys for all your support again. And again, my small business owners, please send me information. I promise you I'll do you shout outs. You can send it to cheaperthantherapyshow@gmail.com or text it to me at 803-509-3477. I just need your business name and the link to your website. I'll make everything else work. Again, I want everyone to enjoy. Have a good Sunday. Get ready for Monday. Be careful with the solar eclipse. I know it's a lot of schools are going to be out, which, whatever, it's just solar eclipse. It happened before, but it is what it is. I want you guys to love on each other and enjoy your evening and your Sunday. And peace out.